Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something we have all been through, the final exam. And, the source material we're looking at today suggests that tech is about to completely shake up this huge part of school. So let's just kick things off with a huge question. I want you to think back for a second. Remember that feeling? The stress, the all-night cramming, waiting for those grades to post. The big question from the analysis we're digging into is, are these old school exams actually failing modern students? Is there a better way? Okay, so to get into that, let's first talk about what the analysis calls the old exam problem. We're going to break down the big challenges universities are up against with the way things have always been done. All right, so the source points to 5 really big hurdles. And it's not just, how much time professors sink into making just one test. It's also about the subtle biases that can creep into grading. Then there's the whole security headache. And after all that, you barely get any useful data back on what students actually learned. Now, imagine trying to do all of that for thousands of students at the same time. It's a huge mess. So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, this is where we get to the heart of the source material, the idea of a modern assessment platform. And let me tell you, this is way, way more than just putting a quiz online. And check out this definition because this is really key. It's not just called an online test, it's a comprehensive digital system. What does that mean? It means it's built to handle the entire process, from the moment a professor starts designing the exam, to delivering it, to grading it, and then analyzing the results. It's the whole shebang. Okay, that sounds great in theory, right? But how do these platforms actually make exams better, like more fair and more accurate? Let's get into the nitty-gritty features that are supposed to boost the quality and trust in these tests. So the source says it's this whole cocktail of features working together. You've got professors who can now link every single question to a specific learning outcome. You've got automations slashing grading mistakes and bias. You can use all sorts of different question types, not just multiple choice. Then you throw in solid security and instant feedback for students. And suddenly, you're looking at something that barely resembles the old final exam. And this quote from the source, it just nails it. It says, the point isn't just to set questions online. It's about enhancing the entire online exam experience to make sure it's fair, accurate, and credible. It's a total mindset shift. All right, so let's put it all together. We've seen the problems with the old way, and we've seen the cool new features. Now, let's see exactly how these platforms are pitched as the direct answer to those university challenges we talked about at the beginning. Okay, challenge number 1. It just takes forever. Seriously, building one good exam can eat up hours and hours of a professor's time. And here's the solution. Instead of starting from a blank page, professors can tap into AI that helps generate questions or pull from huge, ready-made test banks. Boom! They can build a great exam in way less time, which means more time to actually, teach. All right, next challenge, inconsistent grading. Let's be real. When you have different TAs grading essays or even one professor who's exhausted after grading 100 papers, it's almost impossible for every student to get the exact same standard of evaluation. And the fix for that? Automation. It's the big game changer. With automated grading, every single submission is measured against the exact same criteria. It takes human bias and fatigue right out of the equation. It's just a much fairer system for everyone. Okay, but what about cheating? That's always the first question with online exams, right? How do you possibly maintain academic integrity when you can't physically see the students? Well, the source says the answer is more tech. We're talking about things like multi-layer authentication to make sure the right person is taking the test, plus advanced proctoring that can monitor for any funny business. It's all about creating a secure digital room for the exam. This chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at the difference. Old systems, basic templates. Modern platforms, AI-powered creation. Security goes from limited to advanced proctoring. Evaluation goes from manual to fully automated. But for me, the last two are the real killers. Going from basic reports to deep, real-time analytics, and from struggling with big classes to just seamlessly handling any size, that is a massive, massive leap. Okay, so let's get practical. Let's say university is sold on this idea. What should they actually be looking for when choosing a platform? The source gives us a really clear checklist. So here are the 6 things to look for. First, it's got to be easy to use for professors and students. No one wants a complicated system. Second, it needs to be flexible, supporting all kinds of different question types. Third, automation is key. That's what saves everyone time. Fourth, it has to provide real, useful data, not just a final score. And of course, the last two are non-negotiable. It has to be able to scale up for huge classes, and the security has to be absolutely top-notch. And here's a little extra tidbit from the source's FAQ. The best platforms aren't just a one-trick pony for exams. They can actually do more. We're talking about a 3-in-1 deal, where the same system can also handle things like student surveys and course evaluations. Super versatile. Okay, so we've gone through the problems, the tech, the solutions. Let's zoom out. What does all of this really mean for the future of learning? What's the big picture here? And this is the big takeaway. According to the source, this isn't really about testing at all. It's about teaching. The whole point isn't just to make exams faster or easier. It's to use the incredible data you get back to see exactly where students are getting stuck. And once a teacher knows that, they can actually change how they teach to fix those gaps. And that leaves us with a pretty wild thought to end on. If this technology really can pinpoint every single learning gap for every single student, well, how should teaching itself change to deal with that? If you know exactly what a student is missing, the game completely changes. It's a huge question, and one we'll all be facing pretty soon. Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.